Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You download the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast, episode 41 for your Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2023.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Hello there, children. Welcome back to your weekly freak show that is the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely and right on time Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I am amazing.
You're amazing.
Amazing.
Are you loving your new wiring? Look, you're all free of wires down here.
It is awesome. Like, this is going this way, like not up here.
Everything's going where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
see?
it's.
I know.
You have fine-tuned it, hon.
I've almost perfected it. Never say it's perfect, but you know.
It's fine-tuned. I should have brought a heart up.
Oh, decorate the studio.
Set up a little heart.
So our friends on the YouTubes can see it. If you like the YouTubes.
It's Happy VD Day.
Yeah, we're on. Check out Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend.
No, it's just VD Day. No, it's V Day.
I don't like when V Day. VD Day. That'd be like venereal disease day. That's not good. Let's not have a venereal disease
Valentine's Day.
Which we don't really not celebrate, but we don't really
go like over the top. I have a pair of earrings for Maggie. We gave our son a 12 case of
12-pack of pop of Diet Coke.
We're like, oh, here you go.
You like this?
And off you go back to school.
Not even a card, just a hearty handshake. And
here you go, babe. Would love ya. And and we gave him a Starbucks for the road. Here you go.
Oh, there you go. Not even the gift card. No gift card. Just here's a drink.
Out the door.
Here's
Enjoy. We got Maggie a little pair of earrings, little heart earrings like the ones I'm wearing right here.
Nobody's gonna be able to see it on the video, but that's okay.
They're super cute.
They are super duper cute. I can see them from here.
Yeah. So Valentine's Day basically is the day of all gluttony that I would say for me.
Wine, chocolate, candies.
Yeah.
Flour.
I'm not. And so this weekend, we had chocolate cake.
We did have chocolate cake. And booze, but yeah.
Yeah. And but you got me some flowers.
I got you flowers.
Amazing.
I got you tulips early in the week last week. I got you flowers.
I know. I kept thinking, did you do something? Why are you sending me? Why give me so many flowers? What's going on?
Well, the tulips. You just always like the tulips. And then
I
saw
like
the flowers
the
for the
tulips.
Valentine's Day, and
we didn't do it last year either.
Right.
I don't.
Let the record show that between both sets of flowers, big air quotes if you're watching on YouTube, flowers, I think we spent a grand total of $25. Because one came from Walgreens and one came from Sam's Club. So, they are top.
Well, the Sam's Club is that ginormous bouquet.
Yeah, pro tip, boys. If you can pull off the Sam's Club.
And I like putting together flowers, though. So,
yeah, if your wife
here you
wants
go.
some.
Here's some flowers. Now, here's a project for you. Go put them together because I am not going to.
Yeah, that is a challenge, is the fact that they are not put in a vase. And if you're like me, I'm not.
I have plenty of vases.
I honestly think I can vase flowers decently, but they're not to your specs. So I don't even bother because I tried too many times and you just come home and take them all out and put them all back in. So,
well.
I don't mess around with that.
But I enjoy doing that.
So there you go, kids. Yes, think about if you're thinking by the time you're listening to this, you're probably too late.
Yeah.
Even going out to dinner this past weekend before Valentine's
Oh my
Day
goodness,
was crazy.
no. And we're not going to do anything. And what Maggie was like, are you going to get like what your parents do this, you can get a Valentine's meal.
Yeah.
Pre-done and pick it up and everything.
They do that because it's easy and they don't want to deal with it.
No, I don't blame them. I think it sounds like it's a great idea, but we're not doing it because I don't.
We don't care that much.
I really don't.
And if you need a day.
Every day should be Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
Every
if you're doing
day.
it right, it is, kids.
Right, hon?
Yes, every day.
Oh.
As he nods in complete agreement. Like I was saying, kids, don't forget to like and subscribe. Put a comment out there. That would really help us out a ton. We appreciate that. And all you new listeners, welcome. And if you've been around, welcome back. Don't forget, you always find us on the YouTubes. So if you don't want to just hear our lovely
voices. If you want to watch this in the studio,
you can see our lovely faces and our lovely voices.
The studio
on the YouTube.
I'm really disappointed because our audience of one
Yeah, our one audience
She's
member.
already like abandoned us.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're doing that again?
She's like, I don't think I'll be good. I'm going to go bark at something probably in the middle of this cast.
There's nothing in this for me.
So, yeah, what else is going on? I don't even have the notes up.
Oh, yeah. I'm in full control.
Did you send me notes?
Well, two things about All the Bitter. All the Bitter is we're going to do an interview tomorrow with them for next week's podcast.
So excited.
And I just saw, because I get all their emails and everything, they are now shipping international to
how exciting!
Like 50 countries or something.
And so we probably have 4 international listeners. So all of you
we are
order.
global. We're still global. So yes, yeah. But so All the Bitter will now ship international. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, and they just moved into like a new location.
They sold. I was reading something. They're in an article or covered in a story. Anyway, but they sold 30,000 bottles of bitters in the first year.
I know. We probably should wait and talk about this tomorrow.
That's true.
But I'm so excited.
Well, I'm teasing the people to listen next week.
Yes. Teasing. Yes. You're teasing. And this week, wrapping up the first alcohol-free spirit 6-week program. This is week 6,
and
I'm a little
have made it all the way through.
But it's been really good and very rewarding.
And people can sign up for the next one, right?
Yes. April. We're going to do it in April. The plan, I believe, is to do it every quarter.
Every quarter.
How
would I sign up for that if I wanted to sign up, Amy?
You can go to the, I think it's the alcoholfreespirit.com, or just go to my website.
Go jointheirSide.com.
Joy on the other side. There's a banner at the top.
I want to make it real easy for you. Scroll down on your phone right now, and I'll put a link in the show notes.
There you go. That would be great. And and right now, if you sign up by April 1st, there's $100 off.
Boom.
So we are excited. It is as one of our clients said, she said she has never been in a program where the coaches have been so attentive.
That is awesome.
And so I love that. And
you told her there's no freebies. You don't have to say those things.
No.
Which is what's awesome that she still said it.
I know. We didn't. That was completely unsolicited. So it's totally appreciate that she said that. And so we're gearing up for the next one.
Awesome. And another social media thing I saw, Amy, I put the photo in the show notes so I wouldn't forget because it was easy. Hopwater had a little picture thing. It says, be my ride and dry. Instead of my ride or die. Like, you're my ride or die. You're my ride or dry. Ride and dry. Like, we'll roll sober, kids.
Cool.
Although it shows pictures of the butt in the picture, so I don't know. They're wearing pants, but still.
Interesting. And then you had on here tips. Are we covering that?
Why don't we save that one? I don't know if we have time. We won't have time with our interview with Jim coming up.
We don't have time.
But we will.
But I would say, just in general, let's see, because today
it's Valentine's Day.
It will be, but the day before is the 13th, and
that's how it counts. Welcome to Calendar Talk with Coach Amy. Well, what comes before the 13th? Tell us, Amy.
Because in the alcohol experiment and in our program as well, when you're on day 13, that is the topic of sober sex.
Every 13th? Not just February 13th.
No, it's on the 13th of the experiment.
We'll have to do an in-depth.
So I think we'll do
We've never done an episode on sober sex.
No.
I don't think so.
That could be funny.
That would be a good. We'll have to put a PG-13 on that one, but
just heads up, everybody.
It works still.
Oh, it works. Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Glad my parents don't listen. Moving along. All right, Amy, let's get to our drink of the week here. Yours is go first because there's a little program I have too.
So this is H2O. It's Sonoma Soft Seltzer.
To go with Valentine's Day, H2 Heart.
And it has 40 calories, 0 alcohol, naturally flavored sparkling water beverage, but it is made, it's created in California. And it is created by the California Sauvignon Blanc grape.
It's wine infused.
It's wine infused. It's actually made at, well, you can go to Facebook and follow at Bubbles in Sonoma. It is awesome.
They have a website that I'll link to, but they only sell it on Amazon.
They do.
And they actually have a program now where if you buy 6, after you've bought 6, you get
6 4-packs.
4-packs, you get the 7th 4-pack free.
And they're in this is how many ounces?
16.
16 ounces, 40 calories in a can.
Yeah.
40 calories.
And they call it soft seltzer because it's not a hard seltzer. There's no alcohol, so it's
it's excellent source of vitamin C. But
it's one of your favorites.
I love it.
It's a little spendy, I will tell you, but I think it's like $24 a 4-pack. So, it's kind of, but it's kind of like the bottles of wine.
Okay, that's $6 a can, but I count this as 2. Because 2 glasses. Right. I mean, it's 8 ounces.
And then you don't have to worry about the bottle going bad.
Exactly.
So
I mean, if
it averages out to about.
It would be $3 a serving.
Yeah. So
which is still cheaper than going out because you would easily be paying
for sure.
What, $7 or $8, maybe $9 for a glass of wine?
And they're big cans, like you said, they're 16 ounce, not just 12 ounce.
And I love these, especially in the summer. It's a great, absolutely great.
Yeah, we do. I looked at our purchase history, and it tends
refreshing-
to be in the warmer months that we buy that.
refreshing drink, very bubbly. They have 4 or 5 flavors,
at least 3.
and I love the red.
There's a Pinot Grigio or Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, a Rosé,
And a Chardonnay.
Moscato.
No.
That's the other one.
Moscato. Okay, yeah, and
And there may be a Rosé too, so there may be 5.
they have a rosé. They were out this last time because the rosé is probably my favorite, and then the red. Which one?
I think the Moscato sells the least.
Pinot Noir. I love the Pinot, and then I do like this one a lot too.
Good, especially
but they're really good. We should see if we can get them to come on.
I bet they would.
Show.
I have Alex's contact. I've been talking with him about their program. So
cool.
Mine, on the other hand, is something new as far as
new to us.
Well, the packaging said it was new too. I think their website said too.
Oh, anyway, a new beverage,
new flavor.
Oh,
Partake Brewing Hazy IPA. I don't know if we've had Partake on the show before, not them, but the drink on the show before. We have had their Hazy IPA, which is very good. But Partake's pretty solid.
And Partake is one of those that's really low in calorie.
Yeah, they are definitely.
I mean,
that's one of their. I don't know that they promote it as their shtick, but
they are like,
this is only 25 calories, which for a Hazy IPA.
And do they have sugar in it either? I mean, I don't remember.
Doesn't say anything about sugars, but compared to like an Untitled Art, Go Brewing, some of the other.
Oh yeah,
it's far less in calories. So if you're looking at calories,
and a lot of people are. They're looking at calories.
I'm gonna argue you take a bit of a flavor hit, not much. But if you're looking for calorie counts, this is probably the best low cal IPA you're gonna find.
Good.
So Partake for the win.
Man, kids. I'm loving it because you got we're going with the high school colors, the purple and the gold here.
That was totally not the plan, but sure, let's go with that. All right, Coach Jamie, let's get to our interview with a fellow coach, Coach Jim, out from out east.
Hold on here. Let me bring up.
Ago now. So if any comment seems dated, that would be why.
And if you hold on,
but he is.
Oh my gosh, he is so nice. He's so fun.
Just a old school New Yorker,
great guy.
I don't know what you call East Coast guys that around the cornfields. We call him just a good old boy, but you don't call East Coast New Yorkers that. So I don't know. What
there we go.
But so fun to talk to. We could have gone on and on.
Oh, just such a sweetheart.
Yeah. Yep.
I hope he can. I hope he comes on again, just because I want to talk to him.
You just like the accent.
Well, and he even made that whole comment, like hopefully a whole bunch of us, because we haven't had a coaches gathering since I think before COVID, and it would be really cool.
What do you call a group of coaches together? A gaggle?
I don't know what you would call us. I don't know.
All
And
right. So
let me give
Jim,
a little
Amy.
bit of a preview. Jim Shovlin, he is a registered pharmacist with 45 years of experience. He owned and operated his own community pharmacy for 32 years. And as Jim said, he was a normal drinker for about 40 plus years. And he rarely drank during the week and almost always drank on the weekends. And he worked lots of hours. And so it was more of this, again, this work hard, play hard
Right.
philosophy. And when he retired, he still continued to own his store, but he was just doing the administrative duties. And he said that is where alcohol snuck up and in and over. And so then he said he basically for him, he became really addicted because alcohol is addictive, because that's what it is. And so he lost control over his alcohol use for about 8 years. He tried to quit on his own and tried to moderate, like all of us did, for so many years. And then he really started to listen to podcasts, online presentations. But he said that the 4 books for him that really made a difference was Alcohol Lied to Me by Craig Beck, Alcohol Explained by William Porter, This Naked Mind, and The Alcohol Experiments, both by Annie Grace. And he said he read other ones, but those were the ones that really helped him. And then about a year and a half later, he decided that he wanted to give back and really help others. So he decided to become a This Naked Mind coach. And he also is a gray area drinker recovery coach as well. And we'll go ahead and just... I wanted to tell what the name of his business is. His coaching program is, or website is No Alcohol Coaching, KNOW, Alcohol Coaching, but he's got the NO red. So
a little double on top.
Yeah, a little. It's really great. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Well, thank you, Jim. This is Jim Shovlin, and he is a retired pharmacist, and he's also now been a This Naked Mind coach for I don't know how many years, but go ahead and tell us that.
Mid 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. I was in the first online program. The first coaches program was 2019, and those coaches flew to Colorado. And then the first online program started in March of 2020. And 2 weeks after it started, COVID started. So we had plenty of time to study.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I started my journey of going alcohol free, was in the end of March of 2020. So I was the next class. So I got to see all of your great, the videos that everybody was in. And it was like I knew everybody, even though I had never met any of you. I knew a lot. And it's such a great to get to actually meet you in person. So before we get started, can you just tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, family, and then finally what you like to do for fun?
Okay. I was born in New York City and grew up downstate. I went to St. John's University, which is in Queens. And when I finished pharmacy school, I worked in a chain store in the city. And I ended up working for New York City Health and Hospitals in, the hospital system. And I did that for a while. And then I ended up moving to Syracuse again this time for the VA hospital. And I worked in the Syracuse VA hospital and for a while, and then ended up in Maine. When I went up to Maine, I was working on a federal hospital, so I had a license on federal property, but I didn't have a pharmacy license to moonlight in community pharmacies. And that is when I found my calling. And I ended up coming back to a town called Oneida, 30 miles east of Syracuse, bought my own community pharmacy and ran that for 32 years. And I retired in 2017. And then a year after I retired from drinking. I stopped that I sold my pharmacy in September of 17, and I stopped drinking in June of 18. And So at the end of my first year of not drinking, I said, I got to see if I can give back and kind of help other people find out how great it is to not drink. And so I started to write to Annie. And by then they had already filled their first class. So I was lucky enough to get into the 2020 class. And I've been coaching for them. I've coached in a couple of live alcohol experiments, and I coach in their path and do some private stuff. So that's how I got to where I am. I don't know. That's the simple version. Now, what do I do for fun hobbies? I love to hike, camp, fish, ski, bicycle, work out, million hobbies. And you have more time when you have all of this time. Yeah, it could do a lot of them. They're great.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you've got 3 kids and 5 grandkids.
A daughter and 2 sons, and 4 granddaughters, 1 grandson, 5 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness. So you've got a very full life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to ask you if you wanted to just share with us, your addiction to freedom story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as many of us did, my first taste of alcohol was with my dad split a can of beer between the 4 of us. So I got a quarter of a can, but it made you feel all grown up. And then, so now you can't wait till you can get your own. And so, in high school, all of the guys on the baseball team and football team or sports, we'd get into drinking a couple of beers on a weekend, nothing serious, 1 or 2 beers, and is really all you needed. But it kind of started back in high school. And then when it continued into college, I drank more, but it was more or less just weekends. I didn't have time in pharmacy school to even think about it. When I graduated pharmacy school and went to work, well, I'm a pharmacist, so I had professional responsibilities and eventually ended up owning my own pharmacy. So again, my drinking was pretty much weekends. Fast forward, when my store got busier and busier, so I ended up hiring a full-time pharmacist and a part-time pharmacist. Well, once I didn't have that professional responsibility, it really took off. I mean, as I hired a part-time pharmacist, when I had an extra day off a week, well, I would drink more. By the time I had a full-time and a part-timer, and really no professional responsibility, then it really took off. And wow. I went from weekends to never taking a day off.
Yeah.
And so it just got to be when I first started to think, I got, when I went from asleep to aware and figured out, hey, it might be the alcohol that's the problem. I started to try, do it yourself, DIY, trying to stop on my own. And I found out it was terrible. And so then I found an online course and I took that. And my goal wasn't to quit drinking. My goal was to go back to being a normal drinker like everyone else. They could just have a little bit on the weekends, because I still thought that it was great. And I couldn't see completely eliminating it. So after I took the online course, then I could stop for weeks or months at a time, but I still saw that I wanted it. And eventually I ended up finding This Naked Mind and getting into a community, and that and more education on exactly what alcohol was doing. And I ended up finally stopping.
How long did that
took me over 3 years to quit.
Yeah. But how long was your awareness that
I had a problem and I needed to quit? About 7 or 8 years.
Okay. Yeah. That gauges that was me too. It was just like that whole, boy, I really know that there's an issue here, but
I owned my pharmacy, as I said, for 32 years. Well, I really started to completely lose control when I was after I had owned it for about 22 or 23 years. About the last 8 years that I owned my pharmacy was when I really started to drink way too much, and I realized, I gotta stop this. And so I tried to cut down for probably 2 years before I started to look on the internet how to quit. Well, not quit, how to
moderate,
make it moderate.
Right.
Moderate.
Yeah.
That's a fun
Yeah.
Jim, I'm curious.
I wanted to moderate my jet fuel.
Yeah. I'm curious, and I appreciate that, being in the career that you were of pharmacy, pharmacy, doctors, pilots, right? You don't want those people drinking when they're doing their profession, right? Like I work in an office job. If I'm drinking, nobody's going to die. I might do a horrible job and get fired, but nobody's going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. So were there things in the evening? I guess I don't understand the pharmacy world enough. Like, are there after hours things that you were concerned if somebody called and needed medicine that you'd have to run in and do something and you wouldn't want to be drinking?
Well, that did happen.
Okay. So
my pharmacy was an independent pharmacy. And so I had a contract with hospice, and I've gone in on every night and holiday that you can think of. You'd get a call once in a while. And so you more or less had to be in control,
So that kind of was a forced governor for you. But once that was eliminated, then all bets were off, right?
Then all bets were off.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, how did it affect your relationships?
I don't know necessarily whether or not it had that. I mean, I've been divorced for probably 11 years.
Oh, okay.
And I've stopped drinking for the last 5 or almost 5. And I really don't know how much that had to do with it, because I still drank when we split. We didn't drink a lot together, but that wasn't really, one of the things that did happen, and I don't remember how long ago it happened, but I went up to Canada to take a surgical fitting class to be able to do specialized back and leg braces, the metal braces, and also you'd do these fire formed plastic braces. And when I was up there, of course, after the class, I wanted to have a bunch to drink. My wife said, well, you should just only have one. Well, okay, you can only have one, but I'd go down. I ended up going down to the car and sneaking it, and ended up, getting myself into a little bit of an argument about that, a big argument. So I quit drinking for 30 days to prove that I wasn't an alcoholic. So quitting for 30 days, well, as you know, the first 5 or 6 days were terrible. But then after that, it was all right. But as soon as I got to 30, I went right back to it, because I just proved that I could handle it. So did we get into arguments about, losing it some days, drinking way too much? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't really the cause of, our splitting, but it was a factor.
Yeah.
Because you're still able to run your business, right? So you weren't getting like blackout drunk every night, but you were probably drinking every night, right? So you could still.
No, I wasn't even drinking every night until about 23 years or 24 years into my 32 years of owning it. I just predominantly would drink on weekends, on days that I knew I had no professional responsibilities. Right. And even when I stopped working behind the bench and professionally went to more or less administrative work, I could still run the business. alcohol never got in the way of work, ever.
Right.
I never hit a rock bottom. I never had a series of a lot of blackouts, but I was functioning fine, which you hear a lot. A lot of people can do very well. They can have their drinks, but it's still, something wrong with it.
Sure. Sure.
So
I think that's what keeps you going, right? It's like, well, do I really have a problem? I'm still going to work. I'm still running a successful business. Is it really a problem, right? That kind of talks yourself out of it.
Never missed a day of work. Never was late for work. No.
Yep.
Went to work when I used to bowl in a league. When I was after I'd owned the store for about 8 or 10 years, I used to bowl in a bowling league in the middle of the week. I did go to work hungover,
right?
But not so severely hungover that I was even late or really noticed. Now, what I know now is I probably still had a BAC that wouldn't have been good, but at the time, fully functional.
And that's not to keep you going, right? Because
that's one of the big problems with alcohol is it's so accepted that people don't even look at it for what it is. They don't even look at it as a drug. They don't even look at it as a problem. You go into work with a hangover or with a headache, it's almost like a rite of passage. People just accept it. It's because it's everywhere. I mean, think about it. You look at the TV and you'll see a commercial during a football game where the mascot is sitting in the back with his feet up. And what does he have? A beer. And the other mascot walks in and he offers him the beer. Now, do we really need that to sit down, relax, and enjoy it? No. What that is that subliminal message that's telling everybody that's watching it that, oh yeah, this will help you relax. No.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you, since you're a pharmacist, you had all this medical knowledge. When you really started to dig into this,
right?
How did you feel?
Well, to be honest, when I look at it, all right, I counseled patients. Well, first off, I would always tell them if there was an interaction with the alcohol. However, since I looked at it the same way we all looked at it, as it's totally acceptable, everything's fine, just like so many of my friends that are doctors and dentists, it is looked at as it's perfectly fine. So when the person would ask, okay, well, can I drink with this? I would actually counsel them on how much they could drink and, try to talk them out of it. But, if somebody's going to drink, I've actually had 2 people hand me back the prescription when I told them that they couldn't drink with it, hand me back the prescription and said, well, I'm going to be okay because I'm not going to not drink with this medication. And so when I look back at it and I think, okay, this was the wrong advice or the wrong direction to go. But the reason it was the wrong direction to go, and it's even more so now, is because of the way that alcohol is just accepted everywhere. It's sort of like it's one of the 5 most dangerous drugs and most deadliest, most addictive drugs on the planet, and nobody even looks at it as a drug.
No.
And so professionally, you would explain to people, okay, instead of having 2 drinks or 3 drinks, have 1. So you would counsel them down on their consumption, but you wouldn't actually tell them, no, you can't do it. So when I look back, was the advice always right? No. But was it right for what was more or less accepted by the medical profession? There are doctors now that still discount alcohol as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you an example of that. When COVID first started and when the vaccine first came out, they were screaming for people to administer it. So I volunteered 4 hours a couple of times a week to go and give the vaccine. Well, this microbiologist doctor that was in charge of the center, he and I had a discussion about it, and he says, well, alcohol's really not that bad. I don't know what your complaint is, what your complaint. So he still, and this is 2020, 21, he still thought it was fine. Don't even worry about it. And so that's still going on right now today in the medical.
Well, it's telling about the power of alcohol when people will hand back a prescription that obviously was prescribed to them for a medical reason that they need, because they'd rather have their alcohol. I mean, that's really telling of how powerful it is. And my doctor, to your point, even said, is like, I was diagnosed with fatty liver, mild fatty liver, but anyway. And he says, well, the type of fatty liver you have, don't beat yourself up over a couple beers a night. It'll heal itself. Your type of fatty liver will heal itself even with a couple beers a night. And even, I'm not a medical professional, and I'm like, that math doesn't seem to add up to me. But
no, that doggone hunt, I don't think that's right either. No, and again, it's still, when you go to your doctor's office, instead of, or when your doctor asks you how much do you drink, and people just kind of give them a pat answer, oh, I have one drink or 2 drinks a day. But you can more or less double it, because nobody's going to tell you the truth. But when was the last time you ever heard a doctor ask, when was the last time you took a significant break from alcohol, 30 days or longer? That question never gets asked.
No.
And if they did ask that, how many people would answer it honestly? And it would basically floor them, like, oh, nobody's ever asked me that. But that's
because I haven't I was in therapy for a while, and my therapist, she never asked me. And a year ago, I needed to go back in and talk with her, and it was during that time that I actually was truthful with her. She had never asked me the whole time. And as she said, she goes, and she actually, and I told her, I go, I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad or anything, because I would have lied. I would have lied to you. I mean, I know where I was at then, but I said, I want you to just be really aware that I know now what was really driving my insecurities, my anxiety, my, suicidal thoughts at times. I go, I know what was driving it. I said, so I just shared with her just so that she would be aware. And it was a great conversation. And, it was one of those that was definitely received well. But, I just look back at that, and it was, just like you said, like I've been on Wellbutrin, I don't know how long. And, there was never like a talk, you shouldn't be drinking while you're using this, because it's going to affect how this works. So I'm actually cutting back with their help, to get off the medication eventually. And it's shocking. It's just like, people just don't know. And just like you said, that point that, oh, well, maybe if I don't drink as much, or I'll cut back a little bit, and oh, it's fine. It's just crazy that it just gets a pass.
Yeah. There are a lot of, in my opinion, there are a lot of people that are on some of these medications for depression, that the reason they're on them is because of the depression that's caused by the alcohol. Now, I'm not a diagnosis person. I'm not a doctor, so I don't prescribe or diagnose. But I do believe that it's a lot more common because of the nature of alcohol. And the only way we're ever going to know is if they do a study on it. And,
Hey, Jim, I'm curious. So what did your social circle, whether that's work friends or just other friends, what did your social circle, how'd they react when you said, I'm going to stop drinking?
Well, when it first started, all right, I decided that I was going to stop drinking in the end of June of 2018 and finally just be done with it. Well, I had already had a trip planned with a couple of friends to go to Myrtle Beach, which is not too far from where I am. And we were leaving, and we were going to be here the first week of July of 2018. So what I told them was, well, I'm on an antibiotic and I can't drink. But then I immediately volunteered to be designated driver for the whole week. They loved it because they figured, oh, okay, you can drive us around. We can drink as much as we want.
Right.
And we still laugh about it. 4.5 years later, we still laugh about that.
You're still on an antibiotic.
Yeah, I was on an antibiotic, which wasn't true, but it worked.
Right.
Initially, that worked. And what did they think? Well, some of them still just can't believe that I'm done. And one thing you will notice is your circle of friends. Quite a bit of your circle of friends, even as couples, that circle of friends will change when you don't drink. Some of the change will be because they just don't know how to handle being around you. Some of it is because they start to question their own drinking, because they see, oh, okay, they stopped and they have good, legitimate health reasons. So there's that cognitive dissonance where they oh, I don't want. It's sort of like if you're not there, it doesn't remind them of what they should be paying attention to. And so there were a lot of times where I would, like the guys that I still play golf with, the same guys, but I don't get invited to like weekend parties or Bloody Mary Sundays, where we're all going to get together at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning and drink Bloody Marys, really, in the morning. And they still do it. And I've been invited to one or two, but I'll drink the Bloody Mary without the bloody,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, if your main connection with a group of friends was alcohol, you won't see them when you stop, which, that circle changes. Now, some of your close friends, they're going to be fine,
Mm-hmm.
just get used to it, because we all have friends for a really long time that never drank. Well, you don't question the fact that they never drank, or you don't force, well, you should drink, but when they've never done it.
Right.
It's only when they're used to you drinking it and now all of a sudden you don't, that changes.
Yep.
Yeah, that is so true. What can you tell us about, and I don't know, maybe you don't have one, but what was one of the biggest challenges of not drinking that you went through?
Going out. I still go out now, but initially, when I first stopped, drinking, any of my little slips or crash and burns, as I would call them, which you probably heard me describe it as, they would always involve the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like, oh, those guys are having something, and oh, I wish I could do it. And so navigating going out to listen to live music or going out socially with a bunch of people. And so then I had to, basically I stopped going out for 3 or 4 months until and what I tell people now, always drive yourself. The two best things that come out of that, one, you can leave when you want. And the second thing is you always have a sober ride home. So if you can leave when you want, if you start to get sketchy or start to get FOMO, you can leave. The other thing is when you go to a party and you have your own vehicle, when you first get to the event, I always try to go about 15 minutes late. That way everybody's already had their first drink and they don't notice what you have. But what you're going to notice that the people that you're around, and especially when you don't drink, after 2 or 3 drinks, they get louder and they don't even know that you left. So when you get there, say hello to everybody that you want to see, that you want to know that you were at their party. Like if you get invited, go and say hello to the guest or the host that invited you, but go and make your presence known to the people that you want to see. And then after that, you can more or less leave when you want, because the ones that are drinking aren't going to know that you're gone. And you still have your sober ride home. So
I love that.
Yeah, that's one thing we noticed was going to things like that where you used to maybe spend 2 or 3 hours because you're there drinking the whole time, and that was the activity that you were doing, right? When you're not drinking, you're like, after, an hour and a half, you're like, all right, well, I've talked, to your point, I've talked to the people I want to talk to. I've socialized as much as I want to socialize. Now I'm just going to be having circular conversations with these people who are drinking, right? And to your point, they're not going to know I'm gone anyway, so see you later. Yeah. So you still are there. It's just
I have an example of how that worked. I'll tell you what, Matt, I have an example of how that worked this year. I went to a party in my neighborhood last year, a Memorial Day party. Well, I went and I was there for about an hour and a half, almost about 2 hours. And then I said, I'm going to go home now. And so they said, well, why don't you hang out with us, stay a while, whatever. No, I'm all right. I'm good. She said, well, why don't you stay with us? I says, because you guys, the guys that were at the party when I first got here, aren't here now. And they didn't even remember me saying that. And I left, and they didn't. They asked me when I left the next day, and they didn't remember that. I even told them that I'm leaving because you guys are not present now. So
yeah.
Right.
Oh wow. Well, I know you've kind of touched on, like a lot of your friends, they still can't believe it, but how do your family now, with this transformation, what do they think about this?
I have 2 brothers and a sister. My sister and one of my brothers drinks. My other brother quit, but he still sees it. He sees it as, but he still wants it,
Okay.
But he can't have it because he can't control it. His way of describing it is, like when you take a cucumber and you pickle it, it can't go back to a cucumber. So once you drink and can't control it, you can't go back to somebody that can. And that's his analogy to what, his situation is. And he still wishes he could drink. And he doesn't understand how I just don't even want it. I said, well, I don't want it because I changed my mindset. I don't look at it as what you think it is.
Yeah.
I look at it for what it really is. And so,
wow.
So my family, as I said, a brother and sister drink. One of my brothers doesn't. None of my 3 children drink. My sons will have a beer or two if they get together with a couple of their friends, but they have no alcohol at home. My daughter hasn't had anything to drink in probably 16 years. She just all of a sudden decided this just doesn't serve me. It's not for me. And
wow.
But it's pretty well accepted.
That's good.
They're all okay with it. And
No,
most of my close friends are fine.
Yeah.
It's
that's so great. That's so great. Do you have any other questions that you want to ask?
Well, just the one big one, which is we always do our drink of the week. So, when you're going out and we're not drinking, you're hanging out with your friends at the Memorial Day party or what have you. What's your go-to drink? Do you just take a bottle of water, or do you take like an NA beer? What's your go-to?
I drink quite a bit. When I first stopped drinking, there wasn't very much as far as any beers. There was, 2 or 3 of them, and they weren't that good. Now they're amazing. There are whole companies like Athletic. They don't make an alcohol beer, or Right Side Brewing. They don't make an alcohol beer. The beers are delicious. So I do drink alcohol-free beer. I go everywhere with water. When I used to go and I still go, like when I go to listen to live music, the 2 regular pubs that I go to, when I walk in, they're going to ask me, which drink do I want? Do I want my about 4 ounces of orange juice in a 16-ounce beer glass, half full of ice, about 4 ounces of orange juice and the rest club soda, or an unsweetened iced tea with lemon. Those are what I'm going to drink, and that's because they both taste good.
Right. Orange juice and club soda. I've never tried that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Orange juice and club soda is delicious. Orange juice and club soda. When you get orange juice and club soda and a squeeze of lemon or a squeeze of lime, and people look at you and they don't even question what's in your glass because it looks like a drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
So, and it's good. Otherwise, I get an NA beer. I don't pour it. I had somebody ask me, well, I thought you stopped drinking. And I just turned on and, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I still like the taste of beer. I just don't.
I'm the same way.
Yep. Yeah. And it's when you drink the NA beer, it's good for you. Like there's a lot of good stuff in it.
Take the alcohol.
When you take out the alcohol.
What's great is getting off of your bicycle at 8 o'clock in the morning after you've just ridden for an hour and a half. And you will go into the refrigerator and you pop an NA beer and you're drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning because it can't hurt you.
Yeah. Our friends at Go Brewing promote come work at Go Brewing because it's all NA beer they brew. And, in other words, you can't sit there and drink an NA beer like you would drink a coffee while you work. Right. So, it's you could do a lot more with it actually when it's NA.
Yeah. It's awesome hydration. Some of the NAs like Partakes are really low in calories, and they taste good. They're really delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're really much a proponent of keep the ritual and replace the ingredients, because that was something that the two of us did when we quit. I mean, I was like, okay, I've got this daily habit, and I remember head coach Scott saying, this is what you do. And I was like, I'm doing that. And
helps a ton.
It helped so much for me. And I've had, pushback from other people. I'm like, well, and I'm like, no, I'm good, because you're going to get addicted to that. I'm like, it's not an addictive substance. So, and really within, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, that habit just fell away. I mean, I still, still occasionally would go and have one, and I still do on the weekends, but it just kind of.
But you don't go through a 6-pack a night, right? I mean, you have that 1 or 2.
No, yeah. Oh, when I drank beer, the alcohol version, 1 was too many and 30 wasn't enough.
Right. Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
So now with NAs, even in the heat of the summer, you're never going to have more than 2 or 3 of them in a day because there's no diuretic.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. It's so great. I wanted to ask you, with your clients, do you have a favorite visualization technique that you use with them? Because I know we both, it's toxic. And I know for me, what I personally have visualized for myself was a stale glass of beer with cigarette butts floating in it, and I named it cancer juice. And when I put that image in my head, there was no way that I was going to be able to drink that. That was like my go-to visual. I don't know if you had any techniques or anything.
When I first stopped, I envisioned it as that little emoji on your phone where it's a little red can of jet fuel. And I describe it as jet fuel. I says it's the exact same thing that you put in your gas tank. I says it runs your car, but you think that you can drink it. I went to a party, and there were probably 12 guys at the party, and they're all going to do a shot. Okay, so one of them turns to me, he says, "You're going to do a shot, aren't you?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, what if I pour it?" I said, "I'll just walk over the door and throw it out in the yard." He said, "You would?" And I said, so one of the other guys came over to me and he says, "Well, I'm really proud of you because you could resist that." I said, "Resist what?" I says, "Danny just poured all of you guys a shot of jet fuel. What's in that is the same thing that you put in your gas tank. And you all drank that jet fuel, and you think I'm the one that's missing out. And he walked away scratching his head. He's like, I never thought of it that way. So yeah. So I describe it as jet fuel. Annie describes it as motor oil.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's flammable for a reason, right? I mean, it's flammable for a reason.
Oh yeah, it is. So, and my biggest one, I just tell everybody, well, my two favorite things to tell them is buddy plan and an exit. Make a plan. Well, tell somebody that you're not going to drink. Make sure you're accountable, and make sure it's somebody that isn't a judgmental person that you can go and talk to at a party. Make a plan. Bring your own stuff. Have like what I use. Okay, people say, well, you don't want to drink, and I tell them, over my drinking career, I've tasted everything. I says there isn't anything that you can give me that tastes as good as alcohol-free feels. But my main thing is I tell them, I said, even one drink makes me tired, and it ruins my sleep. Mm-hmm. And the next day I'm tired all day. Well, because it ruined my sleep. So I've just told them one drink does that. So the idea of them coming back with just one drink won't hurt, or you can have one to be social. I already told them one drink makes me tired and it ruins my sleep. So the coming back with you can have one. Well, I already told you, no, I don't like it.
Right.
So if I tell them one drink makes me tired, because it does. One drink will make you tired. It does ruin your sleep, because we all know the effect on REM. And the next day I'm tired because I didn't sleep. So that line, just one drink makes me tired, ruins my sleep, and ruins the next day. It's impossible to come back from that.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. And how can people get a hold of you?
Well, I am the name of my company is No Alcohol, KNOW alcohol, noalcoholcoaching.com. And KNOW, if you look at my website, it's in green, KNOW alcoholcoaching.com. The K and the W are green, but the NO in the middle is red. Because once you know alcohol, you'll want no alcohol.
Nice. I like it.
So it's a play on words. No, once you know, because knowledge drives emotion, which drives action. Once you know what alcohol is, you won't want any. So you'll want the no in the middle of no.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. And I can't wait to be reconnected in other ways, hopefully.
I can't wait till all right. So the last time this Naked Mind coaches all got together was in October of 2019, and it was scheduled for 2020, and we got COVIDed out, and then it was scheduled for 2021. Same thing, for a couple of years. And I really hope that this year they managed to pull it off, and we can all get together, what you would call IRL, in real life.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Jim. And I look forward
to my pleasure. I'm very glad that you asked.
Oh, Jim, thanks for being on the show. That was an awesome interview. His backstory, and it's just it's a cautionary tale. It's a great learning lesson. Mm-hmm. It's just, he has a wealth of information to share and knowledge, and just a fun guy. I do hang out with him sometimes.
Oh my gosh!
Especially since he's in a better climate than we are. So at least right now.
Yeah, right now he's enjoying the beach and sunny life. Down around Myrtle Beach. Yeah. So a lot of fun. You probably noticed that was in our old studio as well.
Yeah, if you're watching on the YouTubes, you may notice it looks a little different, and that would be why.
But that is okay. And again, just thank you so much, Jim, for everything that you are doing for your clients and for this movement. And I hope that we can chat soon again, because he's a great guy.
All right, kids. Well, as we said before, like, follow, subscribe, all those good things. If you have feedback, you can always email Amy at joyontheotherside.com. Any other questions? Like, subscribe. You can always leave a comment down there in those little messages down below. We appreciate those.
Subscribe to the newsletter. We let you know if you miss out on one of our episodes.
We don't want you to
Send
miss
you
out. We don't want you to miss out.
We don't. I send you an update on the podcast and everything that we've got going on. And be looking out soon for maybe me doing a cold plunge.
Oh, geez. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I know. I keep saying it so that
You'll will it?
I will do it because it's terrifying.
All right, kids. Well, that's it for us for this week. I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields, and we are
out.